A common mistake that a lot of programmers make is to have an idea of what they want to code, and then, instead of planning it out first, they immediately start to code the idea without a plan. They might think that they are getting their program out there quickly and don't want to waste time on planning and designs first. They'll think about it when they code it. The problem with this approach is that you actually waste time by not designing and planning your system first. What can happen is that halfway through coding your system, you can hit a snag and realize you have a major design flaw in your system, which will prevent you from completing the project. This means that you have to go back to the drawing board and try to fix and update your current code and then continue. You end up wasting quite a lot of time going back and forth trying to refix the code. Spending some time beforehand to design your system first will save you time in the long run and bring out some situations that you would not have thought about otherwise. Before you start designing your system, you need to determine what you would like to accomplish and have a clear-cut specification of the requirements that is needed for your system. Once you have your requirements worked out, you need to decide on your coding conventions, best practices and tools and architecture that you are going to use for your project. This is especially important if you are part of a team. Just imagine if everyone on the team has their own way of doing things. You'll soon find that your code base is a big mess that nobody wants to touch. Picking the right architecture for your project is just as important. It will influence your design and the tools you need for the project. You need to know which database to use and the reasons for choosing that specific database. Is it a distributed system running off a web or a standalone application on a desktop or a mobile device? Which front ends would be needed? Web-based with HTML and CSS, or mobile devices with JavaScript or Swift? Are you going to use Spring Framework, J2EE for the back end? What about the communication between the front and the back end? Will you use Timeleaf, templates, or RESTful web services? These are just some of the decisions that will need to be made if you are going to make a full project. Once you have worked out your architecture and tools to use, you can start designing your system by using use cases, class diagrams, and sequence diagrams, for example. This will help sort out your data model as well as which classes you are going to need and the relationships between those classes. Follow good design practices to make your code extensible and easy to read. You will then find that your code is much easier to write when you follow a good design.